Dwayne, first of all, news about Johnny Williams. 6 weeks probably means about 5 games for you. Obviously, a big blow after Europe. You've got 3 big games, big block in the URC.
Yeah, it's obviously disappointing news for us. I was actually on the disciplinary hearing and gone in as a top end incident, which is obviously carries a hefty fine. So obviously 6 weeks, potentially down to 5. So it's 5 games, not weeks, games. So it's for us, it's obviously a costly one.
It could have, and Wales haven't done you a favour. He's not in the squad because those could have counted as some of the games.
Yeah, look, I think that it's not my position to say about who Wales and who pick and don't pick. Obviously, he's not in the squad, so I think the nature of the next couple of weeks obviously hurts Johnny and us as well because of the sporadic nature of the games. Where in this block it'd probably been 5 weeks. We get that done in four weeks altogether, and it'll be 5 games. Sorry, get it done in 4 weeks. So it'll be. He's obviously disappointed for Johnny. I think the incident itself is it's a high speed collision. I don't think there was any malice or intent. Or I know there wasn't any malice or intent from Johnny's behalf. It is a high tackle, it's a head to head collision, and I think he obviously apologised for that. I think that obviously, but yeah, it's a disappointing one for us obviously, and for him himself. Given
that you were down to 14 men, 31-3, brought it back. Pleased were you? What was your assessment? Tough place to go out in Claremont.
Yeah, look, it's always a tough place to go, and I think their record speaks for itself out there. I suppose there was 15 minutes of the game, which was disappointing from us, and I think that we were 35 minutes on the clock with 7-3, and then at 50 minutes or 48 minutes, 31-3. So we conceded 4 tries too cheaply. And I think that we battled hard in that first period where we scrambled a lot and got ourselves back, into the game. And I genuinely did think the last half hour of the game we played some really good stuff, some really good stuff, because it could have turned nasty at one point. And I think that we found a bit of energy, and we found a bit of way that we want to play the game. And obviously disappointing to be if we were at 15, that was our intention, to move the ball against Claremont, and we probably didn't have enough of the ball in our first 20. Left ourselves too much to do, I think. Obviously we were chasing the bonus point at 31-17. And that last try was probably, not deserved from them really, but I think that but it is a tough place to go. I thought physically they were very good, put us under a lot of pressure.
You used the campaign last year to your effect, but you did well. There's nothing riding on this game in terms of your European ambition this season, but I suppose you, in a similar way, you have to use it to try and galvanise yourselves in what is a big block. What, Munster, Connacht, Benetton coming up?
Yeah, 100%. And I think we're halfway through the league games, so there's a long way to go in the league campaign. Albeit it was a staggered start. Europe's been a poor campaign. There's no doubt. We're not hiding from last year's high to this year's low, I suppose. From a European standpoint, 2 away games in France is always difficult in the pool. Disappointing loss against the Black Lion here, but I think for us, this game, is an important one in many ways. We all having a break, a week off next week, which is well, it's much needed really. I think from a player's perspective, from a whole staff perspective as well, because it's the results have been tough for us, and I think that there's been a lot of hard work gone in over the last couple of weeks, and we haven't had the results to show for it. So I think this game is vitally important to finish this block on a positive. Give us that break, and then hopefully we can springboard then into what is as you said, an important block coming up.
But it is going to be a sporadic time given the international calendar, and you lose a few as well. What about the contingent that'll be representing the region with Wales?
Yeah, very pleased for them. Obviously 4 guys, going into their first Six Nations campaign. 4 young guys who've played well for us, and I think that delighted for them boys. Obviously Gars and the old stage are there. They're now still in there as well. So it's look, I think there was some that we thought would definitely go, and obviously delighted for the likes of Kemsley, Johan Lloyd, who's played exceptionally well, Joe Roberts, Tommy Rogers having their first taste of Six Nations rugby, and I think that it'll be fantastic for them, fantastic experience for them. I'm being very presumptuous. I think, Josh McLeod would have probably been in the mix as well. So look, I'm happy for those boys, and a lot of young boys will be the core of this team and the spine of this team for a long time.
Warren Gatland spoke about the fact that many players have had exposure that perhaps wouldn't, given the situation, the constraints on all regions. But isn't the fact is that, and without being disrespectful, in a normal, in inverted commas, time, perhaps they wouldn't be playing or wouldn't have been in the squad, because the truth is probably that they're very raw and green on a regional level, let alone potentially international level.
Yes and no, and I think it happens in cycles, isn't it? I think that I was part of something where I suppose post sort of the Quinnell, Howley, Neil Jenkins era, that we had a lot of young players, and we went through some pain. Is the truth of it, leading, I think the start of the 2000s, and we went through some pain under Steve Hansen, and a lot of those players went on to be, double Grand Slam, triple Grand Slam winners in the end of it. So I think, there's always cycles. I think that the cycle of this group, is in this infancy, and I think that Warren's right in many ways. They have been exposed, but they have to be exposed at a higher level as well to make them better players. And I think that I'm sure he's aware of that, and hopefully this group can come together. There's some good quality within the group. There's some good, real high quality players within that. So if they're young or not, a 21-year-old captain as well, which is exciting, from his perspective. And I think, it'll be a good challenge, I'm sure. But all I know is that there's a lot of quality in the group. And I think when you wear the red shirt in Cardiff, you do tend to grow a leg, I suppose, is for want of another phrase, really.
With your regional cap on, how worried are you with this 25 cap rule? If people are talking about earning the right to go away to experience something new, but that is potentially for more senior players. If your Joe Hawkinses, your Mason Grady's, who aren't at that threshold, are leaving, how worried are you that many could follow suit from this region?
No, I am worried. I am worried from that. I'm worried from a regional perspective, because I think it's really important that we have to try and keep the best players within Wales to be competitive. And I think that we all want strong regional teams. We understand the frustrations around the funding. We understand that we probably can't hold everyone or have squads of the size that we used to have. But I think especially the younger players, they need to be, they need to be able to grow, because I think grow together at regional level, because I think for us to be competitive at regional level, we need those players playing in Wales. And ultimately the goal for me is that, and the goal for me here, the goal for every other region is to be as successful as we can be. And I think without our best players, we can't do that. So I think it's vitally important for me that we create a system that not only encourages, but allows our international players to thrive at regional level as well, because I think that is vitally important for the future of the game in Wales.
One we haven't held on to is Lewis Rees-Zammit, for different reasons, it has to be said. There was utter astonishment after the news. It's an opportunity, but I don't think nobody would have foresaw what was coming.
No, it was amazing news. Obviously read some press in the week that he was looking at Japan or France potentially. Obviously a red herring in there, but look, for me, I think I say good luck to him if that's what he wants to do. In all honesty, I think he'd be a big loss to rugby union, a big loss to Wales national side. Obviously, he's a fantastic player. Bags of talent, bags of gas, and he's only going to get better. But look, if that is his desire to go and do that, I think it's a really gutsy move for a 22-year-old guy to do. He's obviously, the statistics and everything, are there for everyone to see about people who go over there and make it. And I think he's willing to give it a go. I think from our perspective, it's obviously a sad loss for Wales. But for him personally, I think, if that's his desire, then you got to wish him all the best and hope he cracks it there. One thing I would say, he's young. 22 years old. So look, I don't know how long you need to crack it there, but the realization will be soon, I suppose, whether he has a chance or not. And then if he does have a chance, then great. If he doesn't, then I'm sure that he'll be back in rugby union, and with age on his side, really. He's still very young in his career. He could be back for the next World Cup. You don't know.
Didn't fancy it yourself?
I'm not big enough.
Playing against Edinburgh is clearly an audition for any rugby league, I keep making that mistake, any American football scouts around. Are you going to tell the wide-out players to maybe try and score a dazzling try to impress the scouts?
No, tell them to score a dazzling try for us, not to impress any other scouts. We desperately need them to.
Kenneth was talking about the young players coming through. Who are the young players that you've been giving chances to this year that maybe other years wouldn't, that you're beginning to think, this is working? Because talking to some of the other coaches, I think they're being pleasantly surprised by some of the players coming through.
I don't know. I think some of the young players we have been playing have played on merit, if I'm perfectly honest, like Eddie James. I know Kemsley Mathias played a lot of rugby for us last season. Ben Williams is probably one that's come in and played some rugby for us this year. Archie Hughes is Wales in the 20 scrum half last year, and to be fair, we probably should have played Archie a bit sooner, but he's got 2 international nines ahead of him, which is obviously difficult for him then. But look, I think that for us, I think the likes of Eddie, Archie, Ben Williams, etc., they've been given opportunities, but they deserve it. I think, like, for me, those type of guys, regardless of who we would have had this year, they would have been given opportunity because they're good players and they deserve to play. I think in general, our squad is younger. I think there's been guys who have played over the last couple of seasons having more regular. You look at the locks, etc. More front rowers having more regular exposure. So I think that for us, it's about, and that's the nature of the game. Boys need to be good enough to play. Yes, there are elements of times where you have to throw young guys in. I saw against the Black Lion, we did that. And then they learn a lot from it. But yeah, I think for us, those experiences are invaluable in building, I suppose, the next core of Scarlets players.
We thought it was likely Rees-Zammit would be 15 for Wales. Warren said yesterday Tom Rogers was the name he mentioned most. Joe and Lloyd obviously in that mix as well. What do you think of them if they're going to be starting against Scotland at 15? Yeah,
I back them fully. I think that Tom's played a bit at 15 for us this year. In all honesty, he probably play more, but I think we've had a few injuries, etc. And Johnny McNichol's been out for a couple of weeks now, so it's about finding the what's best for the team in terms of Tommy. I know he wants to play 15. He's desperately wanting to play 15, knocking on my door wanting to play 15. But at the minute, he's been playing on the wing a bit for us and getting hands on the ball out there. And Joe Nicholas has been doing a good job when he's had opportunities, as has Joe and Lloyd. And I think we've got good quality there. So I'll back both of those guys, and whichever one who if any of them get selected to produce the goods, definitely.
And I think Joe Roberts is coming in. So just a word about him. He's also been named in the squad. It's quite a strong pool of centres, but he's part of it. Yeah,
look, I think he's a good player. He's a good young player. He's been unlucky with injury over the last couple of years. I think obviously he had 2 big knee operations, a knee operation in the summer as well. When after the England game in the World Cup, the World Cup warm-up games, I thought he played particularly well in that game, and probably unlucky in the end through injury not to have a sniff, in all honesty. So he's a good guy. He works hard, tough, abrasive type player. And he'll say as well, he's got a lot to learn as well. And I think that's the exciting part for him. I think his ceiling's high, but I think we're scratching the surface a bit with him as well, And chuffed that he's here. Obviously, Llanelli boy, born and bred, so it's great to have him. And he's a good asset for us, definitely.
Newyddion ynglyn â Johnny Williams, fydd yn colli 6 wythnos sy'n siŵr o fod yn golygu fydd yn absennol yn 5 gêm.
Siomedig i ni a siomedig i Johnny, i fod yn onest, gwahariad eitha hir, i fod yn onest, sy'n credu oedd unrhyw fath o ildeimlad gyda Johnny o gwbl yn y tackle, oedd hi'n bach o timing issue a gyda fe'n anghywir. Yn amlwg oedd hi'n tackle uchel, oedd hi'n pen yn erbyn pen, a falle oedd hi yngheiddi garden goch, i fod yn onest, oedd hi'n gweld na, ond sy'n credu oedd cymaint o drwg deimlad yn hwnna, sy'n credu, chybod, fel o fe'n mynd am y chwaith, chybod, ma nhw'n gweld ffordd gwahanol, amlwg y siomedig gyda hwnna, felly, siomedig i ni a siomedig i fe, mae'n honest.
O feddwl o'ch chi lawr, 31 i 30, ddech chi nôl lawr i 40-10, beth gymroch chi o'r gêm na?
Gymrys i, dechreuwn ni digon gystadleuol. Cyn ni'n siomedig am y cwarter awr gaethon ni 5 munud cyn yr hanner a 10 munud ar ôl ni, achos iliwn ni 31 pwynt neu 30 pwynt yn yr amser ni, 4 cais a o'n i bach yn soft ar yr adeg ni, ond i fod yn onest, dechrau ar y gêm a enwedig hanner awr diwetha, ni'n meddwl o'n i'n gystadleuol iawn, o'n i'n edrych yn dda ar y diwedd yn lledu'r pêl. Lot o boes yn cael ei dwylo ar y bêl, a na beth o'n i'n moyn ceisio wneud o dechrau'r gêm. Gaethon ni lawer o bêl yn y gymynau cynta, yn colli un dyn, nath y pen y lawr yma bach sy'n siomedig, ond wedethon ni'n ôl a brwydron ni'n gael yn diwedd.
Wnaethoch chi ddefnyddio Ewrop o'ch plaid chi llynedd cyrraedd rownd gynderfynol, ac nad oes dim byd ar y gemau o ran mynd mlaen yn y gystadleuaeth, mae rhaid chi ddefnyddio'r gemau i roi rhyw fath o sbardun i chi yn y gemau pwysig sydd yn dilyn yn y gystadleuaeth rygbi unedig.
Bendant, fi credu bod bloc mowr o'n blaen ni ar ôl ni dod nôl, o'n i'n mynd i gael seibion bach wrth nesaf amser dewn ni nôl. A felly mae'r gemau yn bwysig i roi fath o springfwrdd i hwnna i fod yn onest, achos ni hanner ffordd trwyddo'r tymor o'n nglan a gyngrair. A mae lot o gemau bwysig yn ymlaen yn ni, felly ni moyn gorffen y tymor mor galed yn ni gallu a mor gystadleuol ni gallu. Ni wedi bod yn siomedig o ran canlyniadau yn bendant. Fi credu bod perfformiadau yn y gyngrair wedi bod y gemau darbu. Fi credu bod yn amlwg yn siomedig ar canlyniadau, ond oedd y 10 o'r 2 gêm le o'n i'n y tîm gorau, felly mae'n rhaid ni cymeryd hwnna, mae'n rhaid ni cymeryd beth wnaethon ni yn hanner awr diwethaf wrth nesaf a cadw fynd yn y ffordd na o chwarae, bod lledu'r pêl le ni ar yn gorau, sgori ceisiau pert a fod yn gyffroes gyda'r pêl a hefyd yn amddiffynol. Ni moyn dod i pwysau ar amddiffyn. Ni'n gwybod bod Caeredin wrth sy'n mynd i bod tîm sy'n lledu'r pêl yn galed a felly mae'n mynd i bod yn sialens fawr ni.
Mae sawl wythnos ble nad oes gêm oherwydd y tymor yngwladol a chi'n colli eitha tipyn. Beth am y chwaraewyr yna sydd wedi cael ei galw lan sy'n mynd i gynrychioli chi?
Bles iawn. Bod yn amlwg i ni fel garfan, ni fel Rhanbarth, ni wastad yn browd iawn o'r boes sy'n cael dewis i wario yn tîm oedd ryngwladol. 8 ni blwyddyn un a tybio bydde Josh McLeod yn bell off petai wedi bod yn olliach hefyd, felly bles iawn i'r boes, lot o boes 4 boes ifanc sy'n dechrau, sy'n mynd mewn i pencampwriaeth Chwe Glân am y tro gyntaf. Felly, experience arbennig iddyn nhw, a fi siŵr bod nhw'n elwan fawr iawn, ond fi hefyd fi'n siŵr bod nhw'n mwynhau y mas draw, achos mae'n mynd i fod yn awyrgylch i nhw a pwysau sy'n nhw wedi gweld o blaen. Mae dwyster, dim hyd yn oed y gemau ond y paratoi hefyd am Chwe Glân, beth sy'n bod y wasg a popeth sy'n mynd o gwmpas mae fe'n arbennig.
Os yna'n bryder serch hynny, maen nhw'n chwaraewyr ifanc, maen nhw'n ddibrofiad ar lefel rhanbarthol, heb siarad am lefel ryngwladol, ond falle achos y sefyllfa, maen nhw'n cael ei darchafu'n gloi.
Pryder o ran, falle, perfformiadau a canlyniadau, o'n i mewn grŵp rwy gymlynedd mwy na ni, le ar ôl ymddeoliad pobl fel Rob Howley, Scott Quinnell, Neil Jenkins ag ati, o'n i'n tîm ifanc iawn. A gaethon ni trwyddo amseroedd digon caled, ond yn y pen draw dath y tîm na ni'n gystadleuol dros ben, chybod. Lot o boes wedi ennill pencampwriaethau ar y Chwe Glân, cample llawn ag ati, felly lot o llewod wedi dod o'r tîm na hefyd, felly fi'n teimlo bod mae wastad yn digwydd fel hyn, mae wastad ar amseroedd le mae'n cael ei gorfodi i dod â boes ifanc mewn, a fi siŵr neith fawr yn job dda gyda nhw, a fi siŵr newn nhw codi'r dasg.
Ond gai ofyn i ti am y reol 25 cap, i ti'n poeni ynglyn â fe, oherwydd mae'n un peth colli chwaraewyr sydd wedi bod yng Nghymru am spel, a maen nhw'n mynd mlaen i brofi rhywbeth gwannol, ond i golli chwaraewyr ifanc, ni wedi gweld Joe Hawkins, mae'n sôn am Mason Grady. Ti'n poeni felly fydd pobl yn dod ar ôl criw lawr fan hyn.
A dwi fe yn poeni, so I credu bod yn peth da am rygbi Cymru ni colli talent ifanc mas o'r wlad, i fod yn onest. Credu fod yn gystadleuol i ni a fod yn deg i'r ambarthau hefyd. Mae rai bod ni'n trial cadw'r boes gorau a chwaraewyr gorau ni, yn ywedig chwaraewyr gorau ifanc ni yng Nghymru. A mae hwnna'n bwysig i ni fod yn gystadleuol, neu os na gnewn ni, bydd ni byth yn gystadleuol. A na fi credu bod yn bwysig. Mae'n bwysig i ni fel ambarthau. Bwysig i ni fel rygbi, fel gwlad rygbi, dim nid yn oed y tîm cynhaliaethol fel gwlad rygbi bod ni'n cadw'n gorau oherwydd ni'n colli falle awch o'r dorf ag ati a mae'n bwysig bod ni'n cael cymaint o chwaraewyr ifanc a chwarae Gymru a dim yn broffesiynol hefyd, chwaraewyr ifanc, plant. Mae arwyr ni ddim, os mae arwyr nhw'n mynd, maen nhw'n colli cariad mas gyda'r gêm, i fod yn onest.
Ni wedi colli un o'r arwyr sydd wedi mynd i Rees-Zammit. Am resymau gwahanol, mae rhaid pwysleisio hwnna. O ti'n credu yn newyddion? Oedd e'n dipyn o sgytwa i'r gêm ar dros y byd?
Oedd e'n sioc, i fod yn onest. O'n i'n mynd i ddisgwyl oedd lot o sôn bod e'n mynd i Japan, mynd i Ffrainc, ond i fi mae'n amlwg yn golled mawr i rygbi Cymru gynta. Ond i fe fel person, os na beth yw i ddyfodol, os na beth mae'n moyn neud, fi'n gweud pob lwc i'r boi, achos mae wedi neud rhywbeth, sneb lot yn neud, mae wedi wpo un o'r mas yna, a fi credu, os gweithio fe, os byddai'n arbennig i fe, fel unigolyn, stori arbennig, os na weithio fe, fi siŵr, mae'n hynod o ifanc, bydd e nôl yn Cymru a bydd e nôl yn wario i Gymru. Pwy o wyr, falle yn y cwbl byd nesaf, ond fi credu bod e'n teimlo bod amser yn iawn i fe, a os mae fe'n teimlo fel alyn pob lwc fe.